All I'd really have to do to start this video is say these two words, and you all know where this video would be headed. Warp Strike. As a yo-yo user, you are the instant transmissioning, drone stealing, and e-poning machine of Ninjala. Utilizing your incredible skill with Warp Strike, you're able to get first place in every match without questioning where all these points are coming from in the first place. Wait. What do you mean Warp Strike got nerfed? Oh, it didn't get nerfed, it got buffed. Well, what the hell is it? Did it get nerfed or did it get buffed? Oh, they balanced it out. Oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and all the core gamers out there. CAJman777 here, one of the top 5 Ninjala players in the world, at least for Season 1, and until Gung Ho decides to fix their ranking system, because God, it is trash, to bring you yet another weapon guide that will surely teach you something new about your favorite weapon in Ninjala, or maybe you'll learn something completely different that you didn't already know about it. This, of course, as many people might already know, is installment number 2 of my weapon guide series. The first one I actually did on the trick balls. I will make sure to leave that in the end card if you guys want to watch that. Or if I remember, I will leave it in the description of this video so you guys can watch that. Today, we're actually going to be talking about the yo-yos, but before I go any further, we got to get the standard YouTube jargon out of the way. If you guys are enjoying these guides and you want to see more of them, I got to do this. Please do me a huge favor and hit the like button. And if you're really feeling saucy, you do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Our goal is 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we are closing in on 1,900, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the support with that. I mean, you guys have kind of blown the support out of the water for 2020, despite all the hard times that some of us are living in. So seriously, guys, thank you for that. But that's really all I have to say, and that's basically all the standard YouTube jargon out of the way. So you guys are here for learning how to play the yo-yo. I'm here to teach you how to play the yo-yo. So without further ado, let's jump right in and discuss the weapon class that helped me reach the top of the leaderboards in Ninjala. Before I go any further into this guide and we start talking about the standard yo-yos, I actually have to clarify a mistake I made back in my trick ball guide regarding the Mellow Alamode's Gumshoot, the Gum Searcher, and I blame stupid top 5 me for not realizing this sooner. You know, it's also because, you know, no one uses the donut because it's garbage. It needs a buff. The Gum Searcher needs a buff, and that's why nobody uses it. But regardless of that, I was actually under the assumption that the Gum Searcher, it drained your S energy when players entered the field, and like what it basically did was tag them so you could see them like through walls and stuff, when in fact that is not the case at all. All the Gum Searcher actually does is it actually drains the S energy of your opponents, which is super good because that will prevent your opponent from parrying you if you're attacking them while in the Gum Searcher field. But that's really the only mistake I made regarding the Gum Searcher. It's still considered the worst. It really is still considered the worst Gumshoot in the game, so there's not really much to discuss there. But with that mistake being fixed, we can finally now move on and start talking about the yo-yos. Much like the last guide, this is going to be an in-depth discussion regarding everything the yo-yo and its subkit, the Shinobi Spinner, have to offer, as well as going over some unique combo strings that you can use with the yo-yos, talking about the equipment that you definitely want to be equipping with the yo-yos, and by equipment, I do mean the Shinobi cards, as long as getting into a game and showing off some skills with the yo-yo so you guys can learn to master the yo-yo in time. But because of that, some of the information might be the same as it was in the last guide, but any of the information that is very similar, I will just be quickly skimming over. Alright, so here we are once again back on the weapon select screen for Ninjala, and by scrolling down the list from the Ippo and Katana, we can highlight over the Ninja Yo-Yo once again. The first thing you'll notice that I want to point out is if you look in the bottom right, much like the trick balls, which are right here, and the Mellow Alamode, as a yo-yo, you are effectively another glass cannon, having 255 health and 104 movement speed. So there's really not too much to go over here, as I talked about that in my last guide. However, what I do have to mention is that the yo-yo class, unlike the trick ball, does have the longest range of any weapon in the game, able to hit targets from a mile away. And it kind of really surprises some opponents, really, with how long distance some of these attacks are. However, because of that, the yo-yo can be tricky to use in some situations. However, because it can be tricky to use in some situations, it still allows the yo-yo to excel in battle because of the increased range. That means you're going to be constantly moving more, which is what you want in a game like Ninjala, which can be fast-paced when it comes to the combat. And this is further amplified with the yo-yo special, which I'll talk about in a little bit when we get to the abilities. But first we need to talk about the yo-yo kits themselves. So if you're not sure how to actually access these kits, all you have to do is highlight over the weapon you want and hit the plus button. So the first thing we're actually going to look at, we're actually going to zoom in over here to the gum shoot, and we're going to talk about the gum balloon, which is the exact same as the standard trick basketball. Gum balloon shoots 1 to 3 homing balloons that slowly move towards your opponent before sharply homing in, increasing in speed and potentially binding your opponent. Because it's the same as the trick ball, there's not actually much to discuss here, as I went over Gum Balloon a little bit in depth in the last guide. However, you need to know one thing. They need to buff Gum Balloon. Too many people can just walk through Gum Balloon and just be like, ha! It's trash! Gung Ho really needs to buff Gum Balloon. I'm kind of getting sick of Gum Balloon not getting the buff. It deserves a buff! These things are almost useless! Sorry, I got carried away. And if it wasn't already clear, I really like the Gum Balloon. And I honestly think they deserve a little bit more love, too. But anyways, as I said, there's not much to discuss here at the moment. So we're just going to move down the list and talk about an ultimate, the Gum Ninjutsu, the Piercing Mixer. The Piercing Mixer is a Gum Ninjutsu that is on 2 weapons in the game, the standard Yo-Yo and the Scroll Blade, which we will be talking about in a little bit of a different guide later down the line. This ultimate, for lack of a better word, is busted in the right hands. It fires a beam of gum from a cake mixer for some reason. I'm not quite sure how that works. Maybe it's taffy. I don't know. But this ultimate can travel through walls and can not only quickly steal drones from other players, but it can also steal E-Pones from other players just on its own. However, it was because of how powerful the Piercing Mixer was that in version 1.2 of Ninjala, it got hit with a pretty rough balance patch. Prior to the patch, this Piercing Mixer was able to get not only 3 or 4 drones, but 3 or 4 E-Pones basically in one use of the Piercing Mixer. But because of the patch during 1.2, post-patch, the Piercing Mixer can now only get, on average, about 2 or 3 drones or players, which I'm all for because personally the Piercing Mixer was kind of busted anyway, and it definitely did need a nerf because the Yo-Yo had some pretty broken stuff as well. So I'm all for Gung Ho balancing out the weapons as well. The Piercing Mixer has a downside, and the unfortunate downside of the Piercing Mixer is that it actually has to travel. The Piercing Mixer itself has to travel to its location from where you launched it. What this does is it makes it a little bit more risky to use it at longer ranges, albeit you will be safer using it at longer ranges, because it might not reach your target in time, and it costs you valuable ultimate time. So it's better to use the Piercing Mixer now as a version 2.0 in Ninjala from a mid-range standpoint. You do have to be careful, though, because one hit will knock you immediately out of using this Gum Ninjutsu from any source. Like, it can just be a gum shoot, or it can just be a standard hit. You will get knocked out of this ultimate when active if you do get hit. Despite this, though, the Piercing Mixer still is a fantastic ultimate that can really change the way how you play the Yo-Yo. Another thing I'd like to bring up about the Piercing Mixer as well is that it is affected directly by your sensitivity settings if you are playing on sticks. The Piercing Mixer will move faster the higher your sensitivity on sticks. So in order to get the Piercing Mixer to maximum effectiveness, I recommend playing your sensitivity on at least 2 stick if you're playing on 2 sticks. Or playing on gyro, you can do that as well. I don't really like the gyro in Ninjala personally. Other than that, though, that basically covers the base kit for the Yo-Yo's Gum Shoot and Gum Ninjutsu. So now we get to talk about the best part of the Yo-Yo class, the Yo-Yo Leap, aka the Warp Strike. The Warp Strike, for lack of a better term, is instant transmission. You become Goku when you use this move. By throwing your Yo-Yo with the special button, which is directly located on Y, unless you have your controls rebinded, and then hitting the button again, you're able to warp a massive distance to hit players, drones, people using ultimates, and pretty much anything you can think of. It's a super long distance. I mean, it's kind of broken. It also makes it the best move in the Yo-Yo's arsenal, doing 40% damage to any player on the connection with the Yo-Yo Leap, aka Warp Strike. It also, once active, does create a massive AoE around the player, which means it can hit targets in a 360-degree circle, making it a rather safe tool to use to enter fights, steal kills, or even protect yourself. In patch 2.0, Warp Strike did get a massive buff in the activation time for instant transmission. I'll put a little bit of a comparison on screen for you guys here. On the left, you can see is version 1.2 Warp Strike, and on the right, you can see is version 2.0 of instant transmission. And it's also why I've been referring to Warp Strike as instant transmission 9 times out of 10 here. You can definitely see a massive difference in that, and it has definitely made a big change lately as of version 2.0 in the yo-yo's playstyle. So that's something very important to remember. Always got to look at these patch notes. They are super informative. Gung Ho, again, has done a great job of that. Now it's time to move on to the abilities of the yo-yo. And we're going to start with the standard ability and not the big weapon ability of the yo-yo, much like we did with the standard trick balls. And again, these abilities are going to be the same, and the special is going to be the same on the other variation of the yo-yo, the Shinobi spinner. So let's take a look at our first ability, Star Tail. Star Tail is a super great ability for the yo-yo. It is a very good synergy, and basically, as you can see, what it does, if you use a Warp Strike or an instant transmission, during the activation time for that Warp Strike, your Gumshoot cooldown time is going to be increased rapidly. So what this allows you to do is, you as a yo-yo user, using this to get your Gumshoot cooldown time back is super good for putting massive pressure on your opponents. And it's even stronger on the other variation of the yo-yo, which I will talk about here in a little bit once we go over the vanilla kit. But the reason Star Tail is so good is because of the rapid Gumshoot cooldown time. Just, you want to be constantly using Warp Strike as a yo-yo player to constantly be getting this ability, Star Tail, because the yo-yo does have a very good advantage when it can put out a lot of Gumshoots on the field at once. So do keep this in mind. Warp Strike is your friend. You're going to want to be using it a lot here on the yo-yo. As for the big weapon ability, though, on the yo-yo, this is where the Warp Strike, the instant transmission, this is where it becomes absolutely busted. Obviously, the ability, as you can see, the name is Inside Loop. Now, reading the description of this, KO a foe with the warp attack, with the instant transmission to recover life. This is, as I said, the best ability on the yo-yo. This gives yo-yo users, regardless of whether they have big weapon or low health, this gives yo-yo users longevity when it comes to fighting, which is super good, provided you can KO your opponent. It's also because of this that yo-yo players should 100% have Life Drain equipped, because I'm just going to throw up a little bit of an example. Look at how much health you get back with Warp Strike and Inside Loop combined. Damn! That's a lot of health. It's also because of this ability that you want to end any fight you have with a player with a Warp Strike when you have a big weapon, if you can. With that being said, though, that basically covers everything the yo-yo kit has to offer. So let's move on to its counterpart and variation, the Shinobi spinner, which has a little bit of a different Gumshoot and Gum Ninjutsu. As I stated previously, much like the standard yo-yo, its counterpart, the Shinobi spinner, has the same abilities and special as the standard yo-yo in Warp Strike, and of course Star Tail and Inside Loop. But much like the Mellow a la Mode Trick Ball, it has a different Gumshoot and Ultimate. For its Gumshoot, it gets Gumnet, which I personally think gives the yo-yo's first ability, Star Tail, incredible potential. With Gumnet as the Gumshoot on the spinner and Star Tail rapidly giving you the cooldown on the Gumshoot, you'll be able to put down incredible pressure and a constant volley of Gumnets, which can really put your opponent in, well, a bind. As for the ultimate, the Shinobi spinner does get the Ninja Tornado, which has been massively buffed since the last time we talked about the tornado, or even brought a tornado up in a video or a stream I did in Ninjala. As of version 1.2, the buffed tornado now does 90 to 95% of health damage to any player, and it's able to instantly break any size drone. Not only that, but to add to that, in version 2.0, the tornado now comes out faster, meaning less cooldown time for your opponent to run from you during the activation of tornado. But other than that, that's really all there is to talk about with the spinner. So in the next section, I'll be going over some of the combos for the yo-yo, and they are a little bit complicated, so get ready to button mash. Okay, so here we are on the training range for probably my favorite section of the video, the combos. I love the yo-yo combos, and I'm going to be going over quite a few combo strings for you guys. But before that, we gotta talk a little bit about the yo-yo basics here when you want to perform some combat with a yo-yo. Unlike the trick ball, the yo-yo doesn't have too much variation in its attack structure because a lot of its attacks are going to be hitting opponents from range. On top of that, the yo-yo, while it seems easy to use, can be difficult at times because of some of the yo-yo's moves that are considered multi-hitting. So there's actually a lot more that goes into each individual yo-yo combo than I think some people think. So to start off, let me show you the yo-yo's normal strikes. As you can see, the normal strikes on the yo-yos are rather weak. It's kind of unfortunate, and despite the second hit getting a buff as of version 2.0, it still takes far too many hits to secure a KO with normal strikes on the yo-yo, which is kind of sad because you will be using the yo-yo's normals in a combo right away. Just your ZR button, your standard yo-yo hit. You'll be using that quite a bit to set up some combos, so it is a little unfortunate that it is a little bit weak. So it does take it is difficult to secure a KO with some normals, so you are definitely going to want to keep that in mind. All right, moving on to our next attack on the yo-yo, we're going to be talking about the left-right attack, aka the back attack, which is kind of weird. You would think back attack would be down, but that is not the case. The left-right attack on the yo-yo, as I stated previously, the yo-yo's attacks, some of them are multi-hitting. This left-right attack, aka the back attack, is that attack. As you can see, the attack itself, while not near an opponent, has the longest range of any attack, any normal, in the game that is not considered a special. This is a great tool for catching running opponents off guard because of the massive range, and it hits quite hard if it does connect, as I will move up and I will show you how hard it actually hits. This left-right attack does hit your opponent 5 separate times, 5 to 6 actually, 5 to 6 separate times, and that all depends on how close you are to your opponent. Something to also note about this left-right attack is that it's super good to angle downward. It hits less on a player when you angle downward, but the reason this attack is super good when you angle downward is because of a very unique feature that we'll be talking about a little bit later on the drones. As for the downward attacks for the yo-yo, there are 3 separate downward attacks for the yo-yo. I will be referring to these as D1, D2, and D3. The numbers on these will be representative of how many normals you have to do before you hit the downward attack, aka the wide attack. So, the first thing I want to point out, so the downward attack is a smaller AoE attack that works much like Warp Strike. But you will notice here, it sends the yo-yo out of your hands at the end, much like the trick ball. If you remember this, all the yo-yo variations have this little effect when they do a downward attack. So all you have to do to remember is if your yo-yo's out of your hands, you just gotta hit ZR to bring the yo-yo back. Now, the downward one attack is another AoE that has massive range in the front and to the sides, but it has very little range above you. This variation of the downward attack does not get much use, unfortunately, except in cancel combo situations, and I will show that to you now. As you can see, it kind of spins the yo-yo around you just like that. Now, D2 is a very unique downward attack for the yo-yo. It does, once again, create an AoE around the entire player, but this specific downward attack has more range in front and behind the player. This move specifically is a great combo ender, and anybody hit by this move usually gets pushed forward in front of you. Now, downward 3, of course, is going to be the exact same as the downward attack. It's just you add 3 normals before the downward attack. There is one more basic attack, though, you'll want to remember with the yo-yo, and it has to do directly with its ability, Warp Strike. And that's just by pressing the Y button once. As you notice, that actually does damage. While this is indeed the prep for the Warp Strike, because it does damage, you can use this move to actually KO opponents, and it's actually kind of scary because you can also use it to instantly stagger or finish an opponent kind of just like that, although my opponent there was at a little bit lower health. Now, with all the basics out of the way, with the yo-yo, now it's time to talk about the combos. So, the most basic of yo-yo combos you can perform with the yo-yo is actually kind of complicated, as it involves the cancels I mentioned earlier. You see, in Ninjala, you get 2 jumps. You get a single jump and a double jump. However, by saving these jumps in a combo, you can actually keep your combos going longer after hitting an opponent. And you can also cancel multi-hitting attacks with an input as well. So all you have to do is hit them with any attack and then jump right afterwards. In the case of a multi-hitting situation, what you're going to do is you're going to cancel it with another attack. You can use this cancel window to honestly perform any action from your gumshoot to your ultimate, unless you are using the warp strike. So with that being said, now we can move on to the first combo. This combo does involve a small weapon, but can be performed for a KO with a big weapon as well, but you might need a little less hits with the big weapon. The combo is going to be as follows. You're going to start with 3 normal strikes, then immediately into a downward 3. You're going to then, before the animation finishes on the downward 3, jump cancel, call your yo-yo back with the ZR, and then finish it off with a warp strike. As you can see on hammers, it's quite a brutal combo on any player, really. And if my little training dummy did not have a hammer here, this would be an insta-kill on any other opponent. Unfortunately, it does not guarantee the KO on hammers. It leaves them with a little less HP, but you can finish them off with 1 normal afterwards, and the combo remains true after the warp strike. And that's only the first combo we're talking about. Our second combo is even more complicated than the last. This combo, once again, though, will utilize a jump cancel into another attack, but this time I'm going to attack cancel this move. I'm going to attack cancel the wide left-right attack. So the way this combo works, it's a little different and should guarantee a KO as well if you perform it properly. So the combo starts like this. You start with 2 normal attacks into a left-right ZR. However, during the left-right ZR attack, on the 3rd hit, you are going to want to cancel it with the yo-yo throw with the Y button. Press the Y button again then for the finish the warp strike. Jump after the warp strike has finished to hit them with ZR, and then hit them with the downward 1. You might not need the downward 1 at the end of the combo. The downward 1 is just for safety. The downward 1 mainly is used for small weapon compared to large weapons. So let me show you how this combo works. That's a cool one, right? That's a cool one, right? And it KOs the hammer as well. So that's definitely a combo to remember. Okay, so fun fact here, but for the next combo, we're actually going to switch over to the Shinobi spinner, as the net makes this combo much more consistent, and it will guarantee an ippon on your opponent if it lands. It can still work on the base yo-yo with some variation, but once again, this combo is going to utilize a jump cancel into a gumshoot. Alright, so now that we got the Shinobi spinner, all I gotta do is quickly make the big weapon for you guys, and we can get this combo underway. So the combo is going to be as follows. You're going to start with 2 normal attacks, you know, what you normally do. You're going to start with 2 of these. Then what you're immediately going to do is you're going to jump and gumshoot, just like that. You're going to jump and gumshoot just like that. For reference, I will be referring to any jump cancel attack from now on as CB in a combo string. So you do need to know that really quickly. So you will notice it will be CB here when I go for it. So you're going to start with 2, again, 2 normal attacks into a cancel jump, into a gum bind, followed, of course, once again, by 2 normal attacks, and then finally finish them off with the warp strike. Now this combo, as I said, is much more consistent on the spinner, and this is exactly what it looks like. And you see, even on hammers, it guarantees the ippon. And you can see why it's super consistent on the Shinobi spinner. This thing is absolutely disgusting. 2 normals into a large net that insta-binds an opponent if it hits, and then you just finish them with an ippon, and they don't have enough time to mash out of it as well. It is a fantastic combo. That is one of the combos you need to remember as well. I will show it off as well with the yo-yo here, so let me just quickly reload the training range. And I will show you how it looks with the standard yo-yo. A little bit different, but it does work. Okay, so this is how the combo looks with the standard yo-yo. It's the exact same combo, only I think you'll notice what the difference is almost immediately. You can see why it's more consistent with the Shinobi spinner, right? Because it takes a little bit longer to get those three gum balloons coming out, especially if you just do it right away. And then you still need all three of the gum balloons to hit your opponent. But by throwing that extra normal in, you should be able to stagger them into it. Again, though, it's not as consistent, which is why I said the Shinobi spinner works a little bit better for that combo. Now, while we're still here, the last thing I want to show you is a drone combo, which will work on the proper sized weapon on the proper sized drone. However, it will work with big weapon to small drone as well. So it's a very simple combo. All you got to do is start with the warp strike and jump cancel into left right. As you can see, it instantly breaks a drone. And the reason it instantly breaks a drone is because of the multi-hitting effect from the left-right attack on the yo-yo. Because it hits at an angle, it's actually not running through the drone, instead going into the ground, leaving a lasting hitbox on the drone, which is why the yo-yos were, you know, nerfed with, instead of just warp strike, now you gotta do 2 attacks. It's still a little bit slower than just using a warp strike, but thank God they still nerfed that. But as you can see, it is incredibly fast with how quickly it works now. Other than that, though, that's basically all I have to show you guys in the training range. And I know a lot of you don't have to necessarily follow some of these combos that I showed you, because, of course, some of you may come up with your own. These are some of the combos that I've come up with that are just fun and flashy, and I just know that, and I've been using them for quite a while. The combos, as you guys know, are just meant to help players who haven't tried the yo-yo get started. And speaking of getting started, what about the equipment? What about the weaknesses of the yo-yo? Well, in the next section, I'll be going over the Shinobi card's weaknesses and final thoughts. While I'm still on the training range, now would be a great time to bring up one of the biggest weaknesses of the yo-yo. Much like the trick ball variations, the yo-yos honestly have the same weakness, really, as the trick ball in getting attacked from behind. Which means that once again, you'll have to face all your threats head-on, albeit with a little less pressure, because you have reliable AoE attacks in the form of your downward strikes and your warp strike, of course, with the yo-yo, giving you a very safe option in and out of battle. Because of this, yo-yos can be used in all sorts of situations. Not only that, but because yo-yos have the longest range in the game, whiffing an attack hurts. Don't whiff an attack. If you whiff an attack like that, your opponents are going to capitalize on it, because there is a lot of end lag. So because you have the range, you really are playing with a double-edged sword. You just want to make sure your attacks are hitting there. And speaking of double-edged swords, that brings us to the yo-yos Shinobi cards. No matter who you are, if you are playing a yo-yo, you want to always 100% run life drain with this assist code right here. You always want to run life drain with life absorption plus. Max this out if you can. This is the card you want. This is going to not only give you longevity in with your yo-yo as a glass cannon in battle, but it's going to synergize better with your big weapon ability, allowing you to stay on the battlefield longer and really get those big health regen boosts. Another card you'll honestly want to run, though, that's a very underrated card in the form of two-edge parry. This card, if any of you don't know what double-edge parry does, costs you and your opponent both health when you enter a parry state, making racking up opponents by winning parries super nice. Yo-yos also get the benefit of super armor on their downward parry, but don't always rely on that when using two-edge parry, because if you do, your opponents are going to predict it, so you're still going to want to change up your parry state. As for the assist codes, I definitely recommend running 2 assist codes. If you have room to run both assist codes on your double-edge parry, run damage up and damage guard. What damage up is going to do is it's going to increase the amount of damage you and your opponent take when parrying. But if you combine it with damage guard, you're mitigating the damage plus on you, but not your opponent. So they're super good assist codes that you definitely want to run. So you're going to be taking less health damage while your opponents are taking a ton. It's a great combo of assist codes as well, because you'll be losing very tiny amounts of health, as I said, compared to your opponent's massive chunks. And because the yo-yo isn't the strongest when it comes to damage output normally, with the exception of the Warp Strike, this attack will help you rack up E-Pones while staying alive. As for the third card, y'all know it. Y'all love it. Starting Dash, with increased movement speed at the start of battle and after respawning, and whatever you can fit on Starting Dash, because it's just a good card. There's no excuse not to use it. That just about covers it for everything on the yo-yo, though, so why not take our little bit of skills into a battle? Okay, so I've taught you guys the combos. I've taught you guys the basics. Now, as I said, it's time to put it into action. For this battle, I'm going to be going in with the Dragon Shinobi Spinner because, first off, A, it looks cool, and B, I want to be able to perform that net Epone combo as many times as possible to get that guaranteed Epone on a couple players. I will be shooting quite a few gum nets in this fight as well. That is a very important thing to note, is that I will also be shooting some gum nets. But I'm going to try and pull off as many of these combos as I can, obviously being aware of people who do have an S-Burst. A lot of people still run that card, so it is something that I have to be extremely careful of as the lawnmower is coming back around the corner. And while I was, while I was thinking and while I was doing a little bit of editing for this, I almost forgot something that's super important to remember. As a yo-yo, don't be afraid to dash out of a parry just to throw your spinner or your yo-yo back at them with Warp Strike, because just because you break a parry does not mean the parry is over. There's a couple seconds after a parry where you can still get an Epone on another player, and it's important to remember that as a yo-yo, you can dash out and do that and not care. What I also like to do, I also prefer, when I'm trying to steal a drone from players, to aim at another player. Also, this guy's laggy because I definitely just hit him, and they didn't die. But now they did! I'm going to be chased here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double down. I got bound because Katana be like that, though. Nope! See, I don't always start all of my parries with down. I only start a few of them with down. That one, I've played with Yi-Yo before, and I know they like to go down basically on parries. I didn't get the chance to steal that, unfortunately. I kind of screwed up, but I didn't get too much of a screw up there. We're going to gum that distance, and, ooh, couldn't block. Oh, that was interesting, though. Do you see that? All right, we're just going to tornado. Yep. We're gonna play that. We're gonna play some safety. Oh, you want to try and fight me again? All right, I'm gonna die to this guy. That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Ooh, hello. This works for me. Yeah, buddy. That combo works so well on even big drones too. You can't do that. Goodbye. Get out of here. I don't want to. You're not worthy. You are not worthy. Hold on. I was trying to say. Oh, well. I'll take it. I got iframes. Don't mind me. Just gonna come in. Ha! My warp strike is faster than yours. Oh, that's coming for me. Oh! Ow! I thought I dodged it. We're gonna just go for this drone real quick. I think there's gonna be, yeah, I was gonna say, there's gonna be someone who tries to steal it from me. I'm gonna go down now. Yep! Predictions! Predictions! Let's go, bro! You can't just do that. Do you know who I am? I am the man who has made the yo-yo guide and is very good at playing the yo-yo class of weapon. That, believe it or not, guys, is going to do it for the video, which means I am all out of time for this weapon guide, but I hope you all found this weapon guide informative, and let me know if you think I missed anything in the guide in the comment section below. As always, of course, I want to thank you all for watching the video. I gotta remind you one last time, if you enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button for more Ninjala, Nintendo, and cartoony content if that's the sort of thing you're into. But other than that, of course, as always, I have to give a quick shout out to my donators over there on Patreon, MickeyPhorGens and Thomas, for their continued support to the channel. And as always, until then, this is CAJ Man 777 signing off. Stay safe, everybody.